So, coming from the information, Tesla caps employee AI spend at $200 per week after adoption push. So, this is one of the perfect stories for 2026, where this should be a good story for the AI world. Think about this. Tesla is budgeting $200 per week per engineer for AI services. That's $800 a month. Basically comes out to about $9,600 a year for SaaS, essentially for software as a service. I remember the old days when Salesforce came out and you had to convince executives why they should spend $50 a month, $50 a month in order to get a good CRM solution. And to be clear, when Salesforce came out about 20 years ago, oh, the CRM solutions that existed were so bad in so many ways, right? But it was like pulling teeth to get corporations to spend $50 a month back then for software as a service. Now, right, we're in 2026, these artificial intelligence companies have figured out how to get $800 per month out of their customers for each user. And the thing that is so screwed up is that is still not nearly enough money. Now, if you wanted to have a technology company valued at $100 billion, $200 billion, maybe four or $500 billion, then about $10,000 per year per seat, that would be more than enough money. But here's the thing. When table stakes is $1 trillion valuation, right? The numbers just get so idiotic so quickly. Do remember with OpenAI, Sam Altman has come out and stated that the anything under a $1 trillion IPO is a non-starter. Not that he would prefer that it be over $1 trillion, not that his investors would be angry if it wasn't over $1 trillion. No, he literally said it's $1 trillion or bust. And this is one of the reasons I would be betting on the bust cycle as far as OpenAI is concerned. So if you go and you take a look at this particular article, it goes in there and it talks about essentially Tesla engineers up until this point in time have been spending thousands of dollars per week on AI services. So there was a big AI push within Tesla, just like there was everywhere. This is one of the things I talk about where in the technology industry, there's this idea that tech professionals are visionaries and rebels and revolutionaries. I want you to understand that is absolute crap. And you'll notice this in the tech world where they all do the same things at about the same time. It's funny how revolutionaries do the exact same thing everybody else is doing when everybody else is doing it, right? When token maxing was really exciting a few months ago, everybody was token maxing. Now that people figured out that that was a dumb idea, they're all now trying to pull back on the token maxing. So that's what apparently has gone on at Tesla, where engineers are spending up to thousands of dollars per week on tokens, which is something we were told that they should do, right? We had Jensen Huang come out not that long ago and say that if he had like a 400 or 300 or $400,000 engineer and they were not spending $150,000 a year in tokens, that he would be concerned with that, right? That was the big push. But what companies are realizing is that the value proposition isn't there. We did the article talking about Accenture. Accenture is a global consulting company, been pushing out AI to their customers for the past couple of years. And what they're hearing out of their executives is that the executives do not see a value for what they're getting back from artificial intelligence. So the engineers at Tesla, they were told to go ahead, go do the token maxing. They did the token maxing, and now we are seeing the rollback. Another interesting thing they're talking about in this particular article is that Tesla is trying to centralize the spend for AI services. So this is one of the big concerns I've been talking about for a while now, is the whole idea of shadow AI. So in the technology world back, I don't know, probably about 15, 16 years ago, there was a concept called shadow IT. which was just bad. It was just so bad, right? So back when I was in the corporate world, the company owned all of the systems, right? Whether it was the file server, whether it was the CRM solution, whether it was the email server, whatever else, that was all completely and utterly controlled by the corporation. If you were like our marketing department, I used to get, it wasn't arguments in the marketing department. They would just scream at me, and there's nothing I could do about it. It's not an argument when I can't do a damn thing about it. But like one of the big problems we had back in the day is the marketing department. They would have images, or they would have their files or whatever that were large, right? They dealt with larger files than most of the other people in the company dealt with, because they were dealing with graphics and video and all that kind of stuff. And the thing is we had quotas on the file server, pretty small quotas, honestly. They were not very big quotas. And so the marketing department would scream at me, and they would say, "Look, Eli, I just need to be able to share this file. The company is paying all of us a lot of money, and all we need to do is be able to share this particular file." And I would go to the senior administrator, and I would say, "Hey, we need to increase the quotas for the marketing department." And then the senior administrator would look at me and say, "Well, no, if we increase the quotas for the marketing department, then the legal is going to want their quotas increased, and then everybody else is going to want their quotas increased, and we don't have the budget for it. So tell the marketing department to go stuff it," right? And so that's the thing, right? You go back 20 years ago, the marketing department would be screaming at you. And you're like, "I don't know what to tell you guys," right? Well, the thing is, 2010, right? Software as a service comes out, and it becomes a lot easier for essentially all of these, again, high-paid executives, high-paid managers, to simply go around the corporate infrastructure. If you're not going to give me file services that allow me to store these large files, I'm going to swipe my credit card. I'm just going to go with Box, Dropbox, whatever, one of these companies. It's worth it. They'll pay $15 a month. But the problem is, right, as soon as you start having your employees essentially paying for their own CRM solutions, and paying for their own Dropbox solutions, and paying for their own messaging solutions, all of a sudden that is completely outside the realm of your tech department, for security purposes, for compliance purposes, for data retention purposes, right? If you have an email account on our Exchange server and you leave the company or get fired, all of your data is still on the Exchange server. We can access that. If, on the other hand, you go and you set up an account with some other company's messaging service, right? You leave the company. Not only do you leave the company, but all of that historical data leaves the company with you, and you might take all of that data essentially to go over to a competitor. That's one of the big concerns with shadow IT. And so we get to this world now with shadow AI. Think about this. All these companies are pushing this idea that you are going to be working in partnership with some kind of artificial intelligence services, right? So you're going to create workflows, you're going to create routines, you're going to create these things called manifest, all of that kind of stuff. Well, what happens? What happens if not only you leave the company, but also that AI entity, let's just call it an entity, leaves the company with you? And nobody's even really quite sure what that entity thing was even doing. And now it completely and utterly walks out the door. So one of the interesting things here with Tesla too is it does seem like they are trying to centralize the AI services, force their employees to start going through their centralized AI procurement system, whatever they have, probably so they can, stop this whole issue with shadow AI and basically everything kind of going to hell. So it's interesting just to see this with Tesla, right? When you look at Tesla, Tesla is a real technology company. They should know what's going on. And if we have not been lied to about the AI bubble, you should be seeing them double, triple, and quadruple down on the AI services. And instead, what we're seeing is, the kind of boring IT crap that's been going on in the IT world for the past 30 years, right? Trying to crack down on how users use this particular service, trying to get the budget within a realm that makes sense for things like return on investment and all of that kind of stuff. And basically, if you look at it, I'm just going to put it out there, AI is starting to look a whole bunch like every other IT service that will be on your infrastructure. It's like, here's our email server, and here's our file server, and here's our AI server. It's just another server in the rack. It looks like where they're going, and so especially with them pulling back on the spend for AI services, this really does bring into question essentially this whole AI bubble again with OpenAI and Anthropic and these trillion-dollar valuations. Not that the technology is not valuable, not that there is not a purpose or an ROI to some degree on this technology. It's just not nearly to the degree that we have been told it is. So, anyways, so what do you think about this? What do you think about Tesla capping employee spend on AI services to $200 per week? Apparently, you can get a waiver if you do need to spend more. But again, a company like Tesla. Trying to ratchet down the AI spend. What do you think this means for these companies that want to be valued at $1 trillion? What happens when your valuation is based off of the idea that high value engineers are going to be spending $150,000 a year on your services, and the reality is they only quote unquote only spend $10,000 a year on your services? And how screwed up do you think this bubble is? That $10,000 per year per seat might actually be a failure to the business model. How screwed up is that? Anyways, put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, do remember they are on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.